What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Winnipeg Jets franchise mode. This is episode 6, and today we're going to be going through the off-season. In the last episode, we suffered a horrible fate to the Colorado Avalanche, blowing a 3-1 lead in the first round and losing in Game 7 overtime. But today we're going to put all that behind us. We're going to put that season behind us and try to move on here. And we're going to try to make some changes in this episode. I am looking to revamp the team a little bit, and I am looking to move out some cap. We have a lot to go through in this offseason. We have the NHL draft, of course, which is going to come up first. And then we have some big players to re-sign. We have to look at re-signing Pierre-Luc Dubois, John Klingberg, if we think that he's going to be a part of our team long term, and a lot of other guys. So we're going to hop into that. And then, of course, free agency. Here's the draft lottery results, by the way. LA goes from 11 to 1. They're going to be selecting Connor Bedard. They won the sweepstakes. That's incredible luck there. Jersey moves from 4 to 2, and Arizona moves from the number 1 overall pick all the way back to 3. So that's really tough luck there for Arizona. Now we are going to be looking at the retired players from this season's past. Louis Eriksson, Ryan Kessler, and a couple of Jets legends, Andrew Ladd, Brian Little, Brent Seabrook, also Brandon Dubinsky. Nobody really massive in the league, nobody over 600 points. I think it's kind of funny that Louis Eriksson is the top point getter there. Goaltenders, no goalies retired apparently in this league. Yeah, that's weird, but none of our guys retired. None of our coaches retired either, so we have the entire staff back next season. But now we are here at the NHL draft. We are on draft day here, June 23rd. Now, with me wanting to shake up this team and free up some cap, I did want to move out a couple contracts, move out a couple players, kind of make this team our own, right? Because it's really just been the Winnipeg Jets plus a couple of moves to this point, and I really wanted to make this team, my own. Take a look at the draft class here. There are a lot of really good players. Of course, we're not going to be looking at a Connor Bedard. We don't even have a pick within the first 2 rounds this year. Our first pick is in the 3rd round, so we are going to be looking at who we can, feasibly get with our picks, and I wouldn't mind trading out some contracts and, maybe recouping some draft capital. Now, of course, our scouts have been going out all year, and they have identified Marcus Oland as a gem player, and he's ranked 175th, so that's probably around the 5th or 6th round, so that's a guy to watch. So I'm going to be, definitely keeping an eye here on Marcus Oland. We do have 2 or 3 5th-round picks, so I do expect to be able to take him. Hopefully another team doesn't take him before us, but yeah, he's a guy that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on later on in the draft. Since we're going to be a team probably making some moves, I thought it'd be time to edit the trade block. I put Nate Schmidt and Brendan Dillon because I wouldn't mind moving out one of those contracts. I put Declan Chisholm there just to gauge kind of what we could get for him, and just a 5th round pick in there as well. I am going to add Pierre-Luc Dubois. I don't believe we'll get any offers on him, but I just want to see what the market is, if anybody is willing to, make a move for him. He scored 55 points for us last season. Maybe someone will want to acquire his rights. I doubt it, but we're going to just throw him up there just for fun. I would really like to re-sign Pierre-Luc Dubois, but right now we are heading into the NHL draft, and we are going to sim the first few picks here, just kind of see how the first 5 pan out. I wouldn't mind moving into the first round here, maybe, on the back half and acquiring somebody, but that is going to require us making some moves. Right now, I do believe that it is time to move on from Nate Schmidt. He had a really good year, and he is actually up to an 83 overall, only 31 years old, making almost $6 million. So we're going to see what we can get here. It does appear that we have 2 offers from Seattle and the Vegas Golden Knights. I'd much rather trade with Seattle. Vegas is offering 2 3rd-round picks, and Seattle's offering a 3rd and a 4. I'm assuming both of those Vegas picks are going to be pretty late next season, so I am going to go to Seattle here, and I'm going to see if we can get a deal done, but maybe move those picks onto this season. Looking at Seattle's defense, they could definitely use a guy like Nate Schmidt, to come in and maybe solidify that top 4 a little bit. It is pretty weak. I mean, it's Vince Dunn, Adam Larson, and then really nobody else. Pretty low-end defensemen in this game anyway. I know in real life, obviously, their defensemen are pretty decent. But we are going to see if we can get a 3rd and a 4 this season instead of next. And yeah, we'll see if this goes through. Going to get rid of the picks from next season. Will this one go through? Nate Schmidt for a 3rd and a 4th. It will. Nate Schmidt is gone, and that clears up a lot of cap, and that allows us to, make some moves. We'll see what happens with John Klingberg if we decide to bring him back, or if we acquire somebody else via free agency or via trade. So we'll see how the D shakes out. But Connor Bedard, number 1 overall to the LA Kings. No shock there. But we're going to sim ahead here through the first 5, and it's, wow, New Jersey taking 83 overall medium elite left winger Heaton. So he looks like he's going to be very good. That New Jersey team should be very good in the next couple of years here in the franchise. So many good young players like Holtz and all of their defensemen, of course, too. Barnes goes to Arizona. They're in our division, so they get a very good player. We'll see if he makes an impact in the series. Lucas Carlson goes to Seattle. And then the Flyers, they're going to take a medium elite defensive defenseman. Now that we have a little bit more draft capital, I'm going to be looking at, who in around the 16 to 25 range looks interesting. And I really like Otto Stenberg here, playing in the Swiss Elite League. He is a hard wrist shot, really good offensive player, it seems, and he's similar to Joe Thornton with about a 2-year range from being NHL ready. So that is a guy that we're definitely going to look at here. Nate Danielson also looks interesting. Very good puck protector, could be a really nice sniper. We are definitely in win now mode. However, if I can acquire some players to make a difference later on in the series, I would love to do that right now, as we can start getting them developing right now. And then by the time we move on from a few guys in the future, these guys are ready to step up. But I'm just going to be looking at picks that are being, shopped right now. So obviously, just with that little green target on the top there, Nashville has one and the Capitals have one as well. I wouldn't mind trading up to pick 15. I don't really know what it would take, so we're going to just take a look here. I'm going to offer a little bit to see if we can pry this one out of Washington. I'm going to be looking to use those picks that I got from Nate Schmidt and see if we can add those into a deal that makes sense here. I would like to take a couple quality players. We do have quite a few picks now, but they are just later on in the draft. So I will see you guys back in a minute here. We'll see if we can make a deal with Washington. So I am looking to move picks, of course, but Blake Wheeler is a player that I wouldn't mind moving on from. The Jets tried to move on from him in real life, of course, a season ago. Maybe we send him over to a team like Washington that is trying to win now. We would have to retain salary, and I have no problem with that. We would clear a ton for this season, and we get even more back next season. So I think that this would allow us to go out into free agency kind of free, depending on what we do, and we'd be able to re-sign Pierre-Luc Dubois more than likely, and we'd be able to definitely take a run at John Klingberg depending on what he wants. So Blake Wheeler at half retained, or 40% retained, and a 3 and a 5. Will that work? We're going to take a look here. So we're going to see if this works. We're going to propose the trade to Washington. And that trade is rejected. So we're going to see if we can, maybe make something else work. They don't want our prospects. They want to win now. So they want roster players. And obviously I don't blame them. Danny Gilkin is unsigned here, so he wouldn't count towards the contracts or anything like that. But I don't really want to move on from Danny Gilkin. I think that he could be a pretty decent player in this series. We've added a future 5 from next season. See if this one works. And it's rejected again. I just don't think it's going to work out with the Washington Capitals. And I think we're going to try a different team here. So we move on from Washington. They're just not going to accept the deal. It doesn't seem like they're fully committed to moving that pick. So we're going to go and try to make a deal with the Rangers. Their pick is currently on the block. I'm going to offer a 3 and a 5 as I did before. And just like Washington, they're in win now mode. I would like to move on from Blake Wheeler. He was on the third line last season. I think we can find cheaper third line players. And if we can do that, picking up a really good draft pick here in the first round and with freeing up some cap for free agency, I think that's perfect. And we have some guys to re-sign. It's not like it's going to be easy here, but Blake Wheeler, we are going to retain 40% of that with a 5 and a 3 this season for New York's 19th overall pick. Will this go through? And it is rejected. So we're going to need to add maybe a little bit more to this trade. Here we're going to add Fabian Wagner, and it looks like this trade is going to be accepted. Wagner is a pretty low-end prospect, and in this game anyway, and the trade is accepted. So Blake Wheeler is no longer a Winnipeg Jet. He's going to go play in New York with Jacob Trouba, try to win a cup there. I think that's a good move for us. Blake Wheeler is due to regress, and yeah, just time to move on from him, unfortunately, but I think we can replace him pretty well in free agency. But yeah, a couple of guys I have my eye on in this draft. Hopefully they're there around pick number 19, but we're going to sim ahead to our pick here, and I will see you guys at pick number 19 in the first round. Here we are at our selection, and I wouldn't have moved up into the first round if there wasn't a player that I really liked, and I really liked Otto Stenberg. Justin Cote here also looks very good. I don't think that he'd be a bad pickup at all, but the guy that I've really had my eye on here is Otto Stenberg. He's a, center left wing, can play either, and playing against really good competition this early in his young career, I think could be, really beneficial. And being only 2 years out from being an estimated NHL player, that's pretty solid. So Otto Stenberg, I do believe this is going to be the pick. I love his play style. He looks like he's going to be a really good offensive weapon for us here in the future. At pick number 19, he is a medium top 6 forward, and I'm pretty happy with that. A center playmaker. I can't wait to see what Stenberg can do on the ice in a couple of years' time. But with that, guys, now we are going to sim to our selections here later on in the draft. I will see you guys at our next selection. Here we are at pick number 66 in the 3rd round, and there are a couple guys that are kind of catching my eye here. Sergei Kondratayev, if that's how you say it properly, sorry if I butchered that. But yeah, 3 years of NHL ETA. It looks like there's a lot of knock on him. I don't know, like he doesn't really have a lot of great shot utilization. So there does appear to be some issues with him, but Abraham Whitmore kind of catching my eye here. 3 years away from being NHL ready. That's to be expected here later on. You're probably not going to find a player that's ready to go, especially later on in the rounds here. Jesper Jensen, also interesting. He played in the Swedish Elite League as well. I don't think that he'd be a bad pickup, but yeah, 4 years away, he's definitely a project. I'm really liking Abraham Whitmore here, and after a long time of mulling over the picks, I am going to select Abraham Whitmore. He will be our second selection of the draft here in the 3rd round. Low top 6 forward, 64 overall. He's going to be a project, but I am really liking that pick. And here we are going to sim to pick number 98 in the draft. This is the 4th round pick. Here, Jordan Torgny kind of caught my eye. 8 goals, 13 assists. He is a defenseman. He can play the left or the right side. I really like the versatility there. So Jordan is going to end up being our next selection here, 3rd pick of our draft. And yeah, so 4th round pick, 2nd overall in the 4th round. We're going to move ahead here into the 5th round where we have a few picks. I'm not going to mess around here. I don't want to miss on Marcus Oland. I don't want to wait too long. So in the 5th round here, I do think that this is going to be a slam dunk pick. Our scout really likes him. Left winger from Sweden, and we hit big here. Low elite potential. He is, going to be a while away from the NHL, but definitely a very good prospect, and at the very least, some good trade bait. 2 picks later here, we do have another pick. We're still here in the 5th round, of course. Right now, it's kind of just a shot in the dark, and I'm going to take a shot in the dark here for Ryder Thompson. We're going to make that pick here in the 5th round, and he's going to be a medium 7th D. Maybe he can get better as time goes on, but we are going to sim to our last selection here in the 7th round. Not a lot to pick from here, but Per Persson, that's kind of a sick name. We're going to take him. He's a left defenseman, and he's a medium 7th D, so at least he's not like AHL level player, and he's not just some guy that's not going to be able to progress and be a part of this league, really. So here is our draft class. I'm pretty happy with it considering what we gave out. I mean, Nate Schmidt had a pretty good year last year, and we move on from him. And of course, Blake Wheeler, the longtime former captain, he is gone as well. So that is a big change with this team. However, I do think that we will be able to restock the cupboard here with this draft class. We already have so many great prospects that played with the Moose last year, and some of them do need deals, like Reshevsky and McGroarty. We'll see if those guys are going to be playing with us this year or not. I don't really anticipate that. However, I do think with the moves that we made, moving on from Blake Wheeler and Nate Schmidt, that we will have no problem filling those holes and maybe re-signing guys that are already on our team that need deals and, going out in free agency and maybe getting a few upgrades. Here we are in the re-sign phase, and we're going to go to, everybody that's expiring currently. John Klingberg, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Sam Gagner there. Sam Gagner actually does not want a contract extension, and John Klingberg doesn't want a ton of money from what I'm looking at here. He does want a 4-year deal. I don't know if we're going to give that to him, but we are going to probably try to offer him a 3-year. I wouldn't be mad at that at all for an 87 overall defenseman for 3 years, only making around 7. That's perfect. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 55-point season last year. Obviously, we do want a little bit more out of him, but if he can be a consistent 55, to 65-point second-line center, I think that's perfect. He only wants a 4-year deal, under $6 million, so that's definitely affordable. We can totally do that. Sam Gagner does not want that extension. He doesn't want to come back. I was looking at bringing him back. He had almost a career year at 33 years old. So that's too bad. Morgan Barron, he does want a contract. I think we're just going to, give that to him right now. Try to make it a 2-year deal at $125. Offer that contract. No problem with that for Morgan Barron. But Kevin Stenlund, he wants a lot of money on the one-way. That's fine. We will probably end up qualifying him. I'm not paying Mikey Eyssimont $2 million. I am going to qualify him, but definitely not going to be paying him just under $2 million a year. Saku Manalainen, again, he wants big money. We're not going to be re-signing him. Dylan Sandberg, I'm going to qualify him currently. His contract offer, he does want a one-way. I'm not opposed to that. I do think he will get some playing time this season. Axel Johnson-Fjällby, we will try to re-sign him, I do believe. His contract is pretty cheap, just a two-way deal. I have no problem with that. Quality Moose player at the very least. Declan Chisholm, he only wants a 2-year deal as well, so I have no problem signing that. Dom Toninato, I think we're going to move on from him. He's already 29 years old. O'Regan, we just had him as a part of a contract trade, I believe, with the Capitals. Dmitry Yashevsky, we're going to sign him to a 2-year ELC deal. Not really an ELC, but, kind of. He had to play on the Moose along with Rutger McGroarty because I couldn't play them in Russia, and I couldn't play McGroarty in the US League because they're not in the EA game. So they're getting new contracts. Pretend those are their ELCs, I guess. Leon Gawanka, he'll get a contract, 2-way deal. And then from there, really, that's about it. Alex Lemos, I guess we'll add here. He's only 25, 71 overall. Just be some Moose depth there. I thought I'd look at what Sam Gagner wants, and he wants a ton of money. A 1-year, $3.950 million contract. I don't think so, Sam. Look, you're good, but you're probably going to regress a little bit. I'm not in it. Pierre-Luc Dubois, though, I have no problem making this deal. Trying to figure out if I want a 4 or a 5-year. I'm going to give him 4. I don't really want to mess around with this contract too bad because I really do want him to stay. It looks like we've changed his mind. He doesn't want to go to Montreal anymore. So I'd love to keep Pierre-Luc Dubois here in Winnipeg, a 5.75 deal over 4 years. I think that's pretty fair for the production that he's put out. Now we're going to advance a day here and see if anybody accepted our offers. And it looks like Dmitry Yashevsky is here. So is Rutger McGroarty. Morgan Barron actually declined. He wants more money. Pierre-Luc Dubois is back as a Winnipeg Jet, so that's good to see. Axel Johnson-Fjällby, Leon Gawanka, Declan Chisholm, Alex Lemos with the Moose there, and that is all from day one. So the only guy that declined is Morgan Barron. He probably just need to re-up his money a little bit. He only wanted the 1 year, so I wonder over 2 if, he didn't love that. So we're just going to go offer him another deal here. So we're going to offer him the 2 years at 1.5 per year, so $3 million 2-year deal. He should accept that. I have no problem paying that. And we sim a day here, and Morgan Barron has accepted. So we have Morgan Barron lined up for another 2 seasons. Love to see that, but now we have to make a decision on John Klingberg. We do have the cap to bring him back, as now we only have $16 million in cap. We can re-sign him and still do a lot in free agency, and he's not asking for a lot. He is 30 years old, but I am going to give him that 3-year deal. I don't want to pay him till he's 34, but 3 years for $7.2 million a year is not bad at all for a player like John Klingberg. Even if he does regress a little bit, I don't think it's that crazy. The cap does go up in this game. We're going to advance a day here, and John Klingberg has re-signed with the Winnipeg Jets. So Josh Morrissey has his partner John Klingberg for a little while here, and I'm really liking those pairings. We'll have to see how Ville Heinola progresses in the offseason. His overall should go up, along with Neil Pionk. He should be, staying at an 85, and then Brennan Dillon and Dylan DeMello, I would imagine, will be the bottom pairing. Over here at goaltender, though, Dave Riddick, I'm actually going to move on from. I don't think that we're going to bring him back. We're going to re-sign Arvid Holm, however, offer him the 2-way deal, see if he accepts that. But with Mikhail Burden here, we are going to move on from him as we have Salmon in there in the AHL. We sim a day here, Holm accepts, and that is the end of the re-sign phase for our Winnipeg Jets. We still do have some guys on qualifying offers like Dylan Sandberg. We'll get all that sorted out, but here we are in free agency. David Pasternak's available. He had a big year last year, 95 overall player. He wants over McDavid money. He wants almost $13 million. Bo Horvat's a free agent. Maybe we'll make a run at him. I don't know. Michael Bunting, also intriguing there. Some big names here. Max Pacioretty, of course, back in free agency now. Dmitry Orlov, Bertuzzi, Shane Gostisbehere, Mikey Anderson there. He is an RFA though, so it would take some picks to pry him out of there. Sonny Milano there as well, wanting a lot of money, 5.5. Wow, this is going to be expensive in free agency, so we have to go find some deals. Quite a bit of goaltending here as well. Tristan Jarry, Freddie Anderson, Semyon Varlamov, Antti Ranta, James Reimer there as well. He wouldn't be a bad backup, but lots of options there if we're looking for a backup goalie. We do need to add one this offseason. I was kind of debating who I wanted to sign here, if I wanted to take a run at James Reimer, but I was looking at Alex Nedeljkovic, and I think that he might be a perfect fit here in Winnipeg. We'll give him just the 1 year prove-it deal for a backup, 1 year for 2.3 rather, sorry about that, but I like Reimer, and I know he is better overall right now. However, I do think that he is going to regress a little bit, but we do need to revamp the third line now, as Sam Gagner didn't re-sign, and I didn't really anticipate that. I mean, at the worst, I would have put him on the fourth line, I do believe, but Blake Wheeler was a big part of why that third line was so good last year. So with him likely regressing, we moved on from him, and I would have liked to, bring in some new third line players. So that's what we're going to look for today. I think that we want to add probably at least one, maybe two, and maybe a depth forward. So it didn't take me long here. This guy caught my eye right off the bat, Trevor Moore. We're going to look at maybe offering him a contract. He doesn't want long term, and I don't think his contract wants anyway are too crazy. He is almost a pure playmaker, but he had a 50-point year last year. If we can get him for around like 4.5 or anything under 5, I think that's a perfect contract, and I think it's a little bit of a steal for a guy that's still relatively young. We're going to look at maybe offering him a contract here. Trevor Moore, former LA King, wants around 4.4, so we're going to offer him 4.575 for 2 years. I think I'm very comfortable with that contract. So Trevor Moore, hopefully he does accept. Looking around the league here at just maybe some good Moose depth players, because we do need to fill out the AHL team. Logan Hutsko, I don't think would be a really bad pickup at all. 78 overall, medium top 6 potential, and he is only 24 years old. I do think we're going to offer him a contract. So we're going to offer Hutsko a 2-year, 2-way deal. I think that's pretty fair. So that's just another guy added there to the Moose team. And just looking around, I wouldn't mind adding another guy, just to fill out this Moose team, make them better. And Carson Kuhlman there, we're going to give him a 1-year deal. He plays for the Jets in real life, which is kind of funny. So he is now on the Moose in this series. I hope we don't have so many injuries that we have to see him on the main team in this game. We're going to add a defenseman here as well, just a 2-way deal there for Laakkonen. And yeah, so we're going to continue our search here for a third liner. Lots of names here that are, kind of bargainy. Evgeny Svechnikov, Jonathan Drouin, Zach Parise is kind of intriguing as well, but I do think that he will regress quite a bit. Pierre Engvall, probably have more of a fourth liner. Matthias Janmark, also interesting, but again, probably not the third line player that we're looking for. After a lot of thinking here, I am going to offer a contract to Evgeny Svechnikov, 82 overall player. He only wants a 2-year deal at $3.3 million. I don't think that's a bad deal at all, especially for the year he had last year. 17 goals and 19 assists. Yeah, keep in mind, guys, it's not the Svechnikov that you're seeing in real life. This is video game Svechnikov, where he's having a career year, and he's definitely earned that money. And honestly, I think that's kind of a deal for how young he is. He's not going to regress anytime soon. But this is who we've given out contracts to, and I think that's pretty solid. Hutsko, Svechnikov, and Trevor Moore there. Hopefully all three of those guys can re-sign. Those guys are my 3 priorities at the moment. It is probably going to take a little while here for them to accept his free agency. At least in this game is a little bit slower. Guys don't really accept until around the 5 to 7 range. And, I don't like this game also. It just gives bad trade offers. I'm not going to trade 2 of my best prospects, but Alex Nedeljkovic is a part of the team. So we have a new backup. Trevor Moore as well. He's extremely happy. So that is my big one. And Evgeny Svechnikov is back in Winnipeg for his second stint. Carson Kuhlman, Logan Hutsko also accepts. I'm really happy about that. And Ascari too. So everybody that we offered to signed a contract. And you can see there, Trevor Moore in 27 games in the playoffs last season, he had 19 points. So that's pretty good, guys. I'm really happy with that signing. Just looking at what else is left, we only have $1.9 million in cap space, so it's probably the end of free agency. David Pastrnak still hasn't signed, and there still are some really good players, but I think that's where I'm going to cool it. And we're going to sim a little bit, see where David Pastrnak ends up going. But after that, I do think it is going to be time to move on into the next season. So we're simming ahead here, and it does appear that David Pastrnak has signed with the Chicago Blackhawks on a 7-year deal. So I guess that rebuild is going to be pretty short as Chicago goes out, signs a 95 overall player. That is wild. And in the next episode, we're probably going to go see, how Blake Wheeler and Nate Schmidt fit on their teams that they've been traded to. But yeah, just some crazy stuff going on there. the Blackhawks get a big-time player in David Pastrnak. Simming into next season here, Dylan Sandberg has signed his 1-year RFA tender, so he is back with the team. Also, here as we sim on, Kevin Stenlund also accepts his RFA tender, so some more depth here for the Winnipeg Jets. We love to see it. But yes, guys, so we're going to hop into the edit lines portion here as we are in the preseason of next year. We're just going to take a look at what the team kind of looks like. Cole Perfetti's up to an 86 overall. That is very, very good. So we'll probably keep him on the second line for now with Dubois and Verana. I like the top six the way it is. Trevor Moore, Adam Lowry, and Evgeny Svechnikov make up the third line. And then the fourth line right now, it's a little bit messed up. I am going to fix that. David Gustafsson is with the Moose. We're going to move around some pieces here. Jansen Harkins will probably move down to the Moose. Kevin Stenlund, we'll see if he draws into the lineup or if he is just a winger. He had a really good year at Manitoba last year, 50 points in 72 games. So we will definitely take a look at adding him possibly at some point. Dylan Sandberg also, he's going to be scratched to start the season. In the next episode, we will set the lineup the way that it's going to be for the start of the season. So we'll get more into that next episode. But next episode as well, we are going to be naming a captain. So who do you think should be the captain of this Winnipeg Jets team? I'd love to hear from you guys down below in the comments. But with that said, guys, thanks so much for watching another Winnipeg Jets franchise mode video. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And to stay up to date with all of my Jets content, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.